Okay.
Good morning to Madam and Muhammad Farhan. I am Amir Asfa bin Zulkifli and Farhan.
Good morning, Madam. I Muhammad Farhan bin Muhammad Razi. Okay, Amir, can you start now?
Okay, so Madam, we would like to discuss about a problem that we face in our study and our career. So everyone experience difficulties with studies at one time or another, and overcoming this challenge is all part of the learning process. Uh, Particularly when you have a large workload, such issue range from temporary glitch to chronic lack of motivation and low productivity. It can take what feel like extraordinary willpower to overcome this issue. But the important thing to remember is that they can be conquered with the right attitude. So, first thing first, uh, what I what I face a problem that we face in our study and career is I'm experienced low motivation. Low motivation is one of the biggest problems I may have to tackle during my education. Without a strong determination, getting through a lot of work need to gain my qualification can feel impossible. Key to understanding low motivation is to figure out the reason behind it. They are not necessarily the same reason for everyone. Low motivation may be experienced either for certain subject or across the board. Some of the common cause of it include maybe I was tired and stressed with too much thing to do. And there are others more interesting to do, or I find that the subject is boring, or I may not enjoy it for some other reason, or maybe I don't like my teacher for certain subject. And another reason I can find why I think that I get a low motivation is because I have other thing happen in my life, which is meaning my study doesn't feel important, right? Uh, so Farhan, can you give some way how I can counter my problem?
Okay. Amir, I understand which your problem. So I thinking in learning while working, there must be problem because our class is not like a school bench. What can I share for a few tips for you to solve your problem? First thing first, I can suggest the best tip for you. The first one, find the right time and place. You got
Yes.
everyone
But
has their own ideal way of working. Some people find they work best in the morning, some in the afternoon, and other find evening is the ideal time. You also need to experiment with level of noise. You may find that a quiet library is a best, or you may prefer some music playing. Is a number one tip for you to get any problem.
thank you, Farhan. I really appreciate it. But I got another problem, which is
Yes.
I think there are too many distractions that cause me a problem with my career and study. So here are so many external stimuli that's this day that it's a little wonder that many students feel distracted. I give you example, social media, friends, phone, television, video games, and other thing, all have a part to play in working havoc on student ability to focus on study. I so as an example, with friends, sometimes we get a lot of work to do, but sometimes they ask you to join them for a vacation or playing football, and maybe a video game that attract you. So that's some kind of distraction. If I feel like my productivity is suffering from a multitude of distraction, I think it's time for me to change my working environment to one more conductive to studying and to focus on my career. So what you think, Farhan? How do I want to solve these distraction problems?
Okay, I mean, about this problem, I can suggest for you, take a regular break. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you are not 7 years old and you can concentrate for longer, but the principle applies. Reward yourself for concentrate for at taking a short break every hour or two. Go and get a coffee and check your email. Forget it about your friend short time, but be disciplined about how long your break lasts. Anything else? I can give you this option because you have many friends I know.
Yes.
But you must be concentrate our studies and take some coffee and take some rest 20 minutes after studies, and then you take a break, take time.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Okay.
close the phone,
Oh,
and any problem.
oh, thank you. So your point was so good that I think it was a good point, and I should do what you say. But from your point, I got another problem, which is I think when you said about concentrate, so I think I have a little difficulty on concentrate. Even when I eliminate the distraction, concentrate concentration can still be a major issue. It's not just possible, but common to lose focus and experience a dramatic drop in productivity. We are probably all familiar with the feeling of what they call sitting in front of a blank page, staring at it, unable to begin, our mind wandering. Delay my job is a symptom of lack of concentration. If find myself constantly checking Facebook or texting when when I know I was meant to be working, it is sure sign that I need to be taking steps to improve my concentration level. Like low motivation, it is difficult to concentrate can be caused by a number of problems. If I was unable to concentrate because I have something on my mind, I maybe need to try to clear my head before I start working, as it will lower my productivity. What you think
I think
about?
about your problem. I got I got uh, I can suggest for you. Go apa? Uh, do not always the same thing. We all have a distant learning style. That's mean that you will find certain ways of learning easier. The most effective learner, however, understand that variety is the spice of life. They may prefer, you may prefer one style of learning, but you also use order the broaden their experience and their skill, and to keep themselves interested in what you are studying.
I understand what you say. And another thing, I think this is a common list that everyone who doing like us who is study while working. So I think we have a difficulty in remembering fact and figure. It's a common complaint among students, which is also myself, at any stage in our education and our working stage, which is that it is difficult for us to remember all the information necessary for answering exam question effectively. Like what we feel on our first sem until now, when we are on examination, sometimes we already read the answer, but when we are in real exam, we forgot the answer. And what we call, this is easy enough when you are only study one subject. But as at our university, when I was studying a numerous subject, so remembering all the fact and figure from each of my subject, it can seem a hard task. So what you think about remembering this fact and figure?
Is the problem fact and figure?
Yes.
I think you should take a go over your work regularly. Our
Oh.
memories work
Mm.
in two ways, short term and long term.
Yes.
When you first learn something, it is generally stored in your short term memory, where it has a strict shelf life. If you keep reading and reviewing that idea of piece of information, it will be transferred to your long-term memory and can be accessed indefinitely. Okay, that you got
Okay.
it?
Yeah, I got it. And I think I have another problem, which is I guess this one will be very common in student life or even in working life. Which is when we don't enjoy the subject we are study. At some stage in my education, it is normal when I encounter a subject that I don't like, whether it is because I simply find it boring or I feel that I'm not good at it, or it seems a pointless subject that I won't have any use for a long term. And I think it says a dislike that I can have a big impact on my success in the subject. Not liking the teacher of the subject or having an uninspiring teacher, it also can lead to a dislike of the subject itself. For a start, I don't want a bad grade on my result or job achievement that I will have to explain. But I will need to a good mark across the board if I'm going to get into an excellent student and a promotion for my work. So I think it might be a problem if I don't encounter this problem when I don't enjoy my study. It could be a very big problem when I cannot focus on it. So what you think, Farhad?
I think you do not always do the same thing. That means that you will find certain ways of learning easier. The most effective learner, however, understand that variety is the spice of life. You may prefer one style of learning. Ask for help when you need it. When you at the workplace or the home or at home, the lecturer or your boss turn to ask who is struggling and offer them extra help. But once you are studying independently, the only one who is going to assess whether you can cope is you. Yes, your course may notice that you having trouble because your subject statistic, the any subject struggle to understand, but they are not going to say anything unless you do. It is up to you to ask for help when if you need it. Got any problem?
And lastly, Farhan, I think this is a major common problem for me, which is I think I had a struggle with my time management. Study at any level requires good time management. And if I find myself struggling to meet the deadline or I feel overwhelmed with my work, I frequently end up having to stay up late into the night to finish off a piece of homework. This is a sign that I need to work on my time management skill. This means becoming more organized, keeping a list of what needs to be done and by when, and getting started on homework as soon as I was set it rather than put it off. It also means being more disciplined with my routine, getting up earlier, planning out my day, and maximum productive use of the time I allocate to each of my subject.
Yeah.
So what do you think? How do I can solve this time management problem for me?
Okay, may I understand your problem? I can suggest for you. You can get organized. You may be someone who work best with a looming deadline. That does mean you can afford not to plan. You do not really want to find yourself in the position of having two or three looming deadlines all at once and insufficient time for the work. Even even if you're not very keen on planning, it's well worth sitting down and looking at your deadline to make sure that you're able to manage the work in time. You can study little and often. It's usually better to do some work every day rather than spend 2 days a week working frantically. Why? Because we all have more productive and less productive days. That's just how it is. Some days you are tired or unmotivated, or you rather of be outside in the sunshine. If you adopt a policy of little and often, you can afford to work more slowly and unproductive days. That's all I can suggest for you. Thank you, Ame. And you get anything problem?
I think I have told you every of my problem with my career and study. Thanks to you for giving me some advice. And how do I want to counter my problems. So I guess our discussion end up here. And thank you for you and for madam for listening for our discussion. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Ami.
All right.